the Nigerian local equities market sustained its bullish sentiment as investors positioned for bellwether stocks, pushing the all-share index to 12.7% year-to-date. Oluwaseun Dosunmu, Head of Investment Research at Parthian Securities, joins me for a market focus. Thank you, Oluwaseun, for joining us today. 12.7% year-to-date. Despite the headwinds, the market seems to continue to power on. We know that local investors remain, in a sense, a pillar so far for this market. But talk to us about what you've seen so far in terms of what the investment play is, how portfolio managers are rebalancing their portfolios, what they're shedding, what they're bringing on, and what their predictions are.
Okay. Thank you so much, Esther, for that. So actually, the market is surprising us. Why? Because over the years and even the pre-election years, we've seen that the market starts to move in a negative direction from around February. But then we saw that happen in March, and then things just changed in April. So now we're seeing that the market has been positive for about 9 sessions. The market was also positive today. And actually, we didn't expect that. We haven't been expecting this positive move. But then looking back now, we're seeing that investors are actually positioning in some large cap stocks, bellwether stocks precisely. We've been seeing moves in MTN. The previous session, we also saw that investors have been taking advantage of Airtel and Seplat, obviously because of their dual listing. Also today, the market actually closed in the positive because of Dangote Cement. So what we're going to see going forward is the fact that investors are most likely reacting to the release of the Q1 numbers, or they're anticipating that the numbers will come out. The numbers that are going to be released during the first quarter will be positive. So they're actually taking positions now. Secondly, the the expectation generally has been positive because we know that the market now is largely dominated by domestic players. I mean, since 2019, we've been seeing that in play. So right now, we have the domestic players actually moving the market. And one question that comes to mind, or one question that we've been talking about since, is that if you take your funds out of the equities market now, where else would you place your funds in or at that would give you positive real return? We know that inflation is at 15.90%. I mean, if you take that out from, whatever you're getting now, where exactly would give you that positive return? It's only the equities market, because we know that yields in the fixed income market, especially for treasury bills now, single digits. For the bonds is about 10%, ranging between 10 and 11%. So this is actually the place to be.
Well, if you say that, well, I hear you, Sean, but at the end of the day, equities are riskier assets. If I'm an investor, I put my money in fixed income, treasuries, bonds, yes, lower yields, lower returns, but I have the comfort of safety. So how are investors balancing both?
Oh, okay. So that's the thing. So now what some other investors are doing are trying to focus on fundamentally sound stocks and stocks that actually pay dividend. Now, we know that there are some stocks that are actually volatile, and there are some that are actually, stable. So investors and most traders now are just focusing on those stocks that they know that are fundamentally sound. In terms of corporate governance, they're actually doing well. In terms of dividend payments, historically, they're also doing well. So we're seeing a lot of investors tilt more to those stocks. I mean, that is actually the place to be. Yes, the volatility is there. Yes, the risks are there. But I mean, for you to actually make the kind of return that you want, you definitely have to, take on some risk. And we're seeing that come into play.
So what stocks do you like at the moment? What stocks are on your radar? And perhaps maybe from a dividend yield, maybe from a valuation, emerging market pair comparison, etc.
Okay. Personally, right now, at the top of the list is MTN, and that's because we know about the CBN, the final approval given by CBN to MTN. So right now, for me, that is at the top of my radar, and that's because we already know that over the years, MTN has been doing quite well. Also, this PSB license will be a game changer for that company. So, and again, if you recall last month, they talked about their rebranding process that has begun and how they are moving from being a telco company to a fully digital company, which just means that the telco side will just be a section of what they'll be doing going forward. So I think that is one stock to actually look at. Also, if you look at the banking stock, banking stocks, for instance, especially the tier one banks, you would see that in terms of the dividend yields, they actually have really good dividend yields. So that is another space that one can look at.
Well, what can you tell us about Nigerian breweries? I believe they have an AGM set for tomorrow, Friday. What can shareholders expect to hear from the management?
Oh, okay. While I don't while that is not my forte, but I believe that Nigerian breweries has been resilient over the years, even with the challenges that they've been facing as regards raw materials and the increase in input costs. So right now, I believe that they will do all they can to weather the storm. I can't really say what the management has in store for shareholders, but I believe that they'll continue to do what they can to weather this storm as per increase in input costs.
Now, with increase in input costs, I mean, there's also the question of would they be able to successfully pass on price increase, or would they play more in the value market? Do they shelve the premium market? How do you see them balancing both for a company like MB?
Oh, okay. So yeah, like you said, I think they'll continue to play more in the value space, and that is because right now it's not that easy, to pass on the cost to the consumers because you already have competitors. I mean, you already have international breweries and some of the products that they've been coming up with, and that is also competing with Nigerian breweries and also Guinness. So right now, passing on the cost might not be the most.
Oluwaseun, I do apologize to butt in, but we actually have run out of time. But thank you so much for sharing that insight with us today. We appreciate your time on the show. Oluwaseun Dosunmu, Head of Investment Research at Parthian Securities.